LTTV, Blunt Talk with LT, back at it with another video. All right, let's get into this one. Okay, so Rory and Mal signed a $10 million podcast deal with Stitcher. We have a DJ Akademiks reaction coming up right now as well, but let's get into that first. It's a good day for podcasting. Whether you like Rory and Mal, whether you watch their show or not, whether you're a fan or not, I don't watch their show actively. They have 14 episodes. For them to get a deal of $10 million deal with Stitcher, usually podcast deals are exclusive deals with the platform. So with having this deal, generally you would see them be taken off all other platforms and just be on Stitcher. I don't know the details of the deal, but I would assume that's the case. Nonetheless, good for them. It's good for podcasting to see a show that's 14 episodes in, having 200,000 plus views every episode on YouTube, doing pretty good numbers. I don't know what the Spotify numbers are and the other download numbers are, but it's doing good. They strong 14 weeks, one episode a week, got them a $10 million deal. That's good for podcasting, and for what podcast is worth right now, that's good for podcasting. You have your Joe Rogan deals, your DJ Akademiks deals, your Joe Budden deals of the past, but for a show that's relatively new, for that to get a $10 million deal, you can't say anything negative about it. Let's get into DJ Akademiks' take on it when he says his deal was 2 to 3 times bigger. So let's hear this.
Thing because I'm a workaholic. I look at it like the fucking league. And when I look at it like that, I expect that if you're going to give a nigga credit for dropping a 30-point game, when another nigga drops a 30-point game, you're going to give him credit too. But when it comes to me, I don't get that. So today I was getting trolled. Yo, you know that? I was getting trolled all day today. Yo, did you hear about this? These dudes, the Stooges. I thought I buried them in a bunk bed casket. I never knew they were still alive. But they came back. It's on some mummy shit, okay? These niggas supposedly won the Squid Games, and apparently they got some deal that is $10 million. Okay, and everybody's like, yo, what do you feel? Yo, you cool.
All right, that's hating. At the end of the day, they won the Squid Game. They were consistent for 14 weeks and got the deal. I don't know who negotiated the deal. I don't know which type of connections they have to get the deal, but they got the deal. It is what it is. It's good for podcasting. If you don't fucks with them, it is what it is. Like, Akademiks doesn't fucks with them, so I understand him going in on them. It is what it is.
What the hell? And it's not about that. I really feel a way about people not calling fair. They move the goalposts every time when it comes to me. That's one of the things I can relate to 6ix9ine with a little bit. When he says, yo, Ak, it's not that whatever, I'm trying to play victim, but like, the only way they put me in the game is if they put me in a position I can't win. There was a time, and I'll get to like this whole deal shit in a second, but there was a time they were like, yo, Ak, there was a chick on some fucking trash ass podcast was like, yo, Ak, you're mentioning these niggas because they're hot. I ended up dropping a podcast. Every numbers they've ever put up on the board, I have doubled or tripled. I've went so far beyond it. They were getting fucking standing ovations for what they did when I came out after them and did way more. Nobody said a fucking word. What Wack said? He said like the politicking. Nobody didn't want to just be like, oh, okay. Just like how we gave them the credit, let's give you the credit. I looked at that and I'm like, that's interesting. So when I noticed that, I'm like, we're not playing on the same playing field because I love to compete. But when y'all tell me that y'all will applaud them for being here and I will get to hear and y'all will just almost act like it don't exist, this system ain't fair. So today people are telling me, oh, the Stooges signed $10 million deal, whatever the case is. First of all, you know, and obviously people are going to be like, yo, this is hate. This isn't hate. Again, I don't really know. I definitely don't know the details of their deal. But I'll just say this. And this is where I want to bring transparency to the podcasting world. Okay? So whether you look at me or look at anybody else and you want to figure out if niggas is capping or telling the truth, men lie, women lie, numbers don't. I've been through this process. I've talked to all the major players. I'm with the biggest agents who've negotiated the biggest deals. Let me tell you this about podcasting. They're not throwing money like confetti. If you sign a deal over $10 million, you're going to be an exclusive podcast. You're not going to be everywhere.
It's kind of what I was saying earlier. There is no incentive for a podcast platform streaming company to sign somebody if it's not exclusive. What's the point? I'm on Stitcher. I don't have a deal with Stitcher. I'm on Radio Public, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all that shit. If I was to sign a deal, it would to be taken off all those other platforms to bring all the streaming to one platform. That's where we're at in podcasting, where it's not like music, where it's on YouTube, Spotify, making money on every platform individually. It's not quite the same. You have to have monetization on different platforms for you to get money on every platform. Other than that, it's just promotion for your podcasting. Or if you have ads, then it's just good. Or you have those type of sponsorship deals where it's like the more platforms you have, the more traction and more listeners you'll have for your podcast, which will get more sponsorships or more ads being heard. So there's always that route too. I've had sponsorships for years. It's a better route than actually being exclusive to one, in my opinion, if you want your show to grow. But they're already at that point. They already established their audience travels with them. When you're at that point, it's good for you. So not everybody has the same path. It is what it is.
You're going to be exclusive. I know this. By the way, every company you're hearing, including the company that allegedly they were with, we talk to. I talk to. If they're going to give you 8 figures, you're not going to be everywhere. You're going to be exclusive. Depending on how much you want, depending on how much years you want to be there, they would also want a piece of the podcast. Now, again, it's negotiations. You could own everything. You could own the whole podcast. But you're not getting that money value that you claim you wanted. So if you think you're going to drop a podcast available everywhere, a podcast that supposedly you own the whole thing, and somebody's just giving you $10 million, no fucking chance on earth. I know this is a fact. I went through negotiations for 6 months.
Well, I would say that you still own the podcast. You still own the intellectual property. It's just that now that you're licensing it to a company, it's exclusive. You can't take it anywhere else. So you own it, but you don't have full control, if that's what you're trying to say.
With everybody who was a major player. And by the way, the niggas who they allegedly got with ain't the biggest players in the game. I went with one of the 2 biggest players in the game. But of course, it'll be seen as hate. Because I even said to somebody today, I said, if I said some bullshit like this, niggas would kill me. Because when it comes to me, everything has to be backed up by facts. Because when shit sounds like bullshit, if it's with me, I got to go above and beyond to prove people that it's not. With other niggas, it's accepted just as hearsay becomes facts. So again, I really don't give 2 fucks about the Stooges. But I do give a fuck about the league. And when I say I give a fuck about the league, when niggas act like what them niggas have done, I didn't do times 2. What their numbers were, I didn't do times 2 or 3 actually. I do feel offended a little bit. And then when people think that, oh no, you're jealous because they got, if I'm telling you what they've done, I've done times 2 or 3, what do you thought my shit was? And if I'm giving you the education on what the numbers and the actual league standings are, you tell me what it is. But I don't expect these other podcast niggas to really speak on it because, again, when it comes to me, I'll never get the credit. But when it comes to the other niggas who somehow have the favor of whoever else, people just let anything slide. Anyway, I do have a new development.
I think that's the end of the clip. So what he's saying is that his podcast deal was anywhere from 20 to 30,000, and he doesn't get the credit for his deal. I think there was a lack of visibility for his podcast. That's probably why. He got his deal based on who he was and what he brings to the table, generally speaking, in the entertainment industry, opposed to having a podcast that's already proven, already has fans following it, and it's a different path. So when he got his deal, it was announced that you got his deal. I don't think the numbers, the particulars were out, but it announced that he got his Spotify deal. You've seen the billboards and all that shit, but nobody knew anything about the show because there was like one episode. The pilot episode was Tekashi 6ix9ine, and that's it. So there was no feel of what the actual podcast was. So, man, it's just different shit. I don't know what he's actually complaining about. I don't know who trolled him and what was said, so I don't even know where to begin with that. But, yeah, a little bit of podcast insight. We're going to wrap this up. This is going to be a quick stream. We got more on the way. Make sure that you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you subscribe to both channels, LTTV and Blunt Talk with LT. We actually have a new channel, Ball Talk Daily. We have a stream on there. Check that out as well. Make sure you hit the subscribe button on that. But, yeah, we out. Yeah.